Let's get started with our first news. Khamzat said that Arman deserves a title fight. Speaking in a backstage interview, he praised Arman's performance, calling it absolutely crazy. He said, "Performance was crazy like work, and I knew it was going to be finished, but I wanted to wait. So don't say that. I went for, we accepted, Arman is the best. He's the number one. He's the champion." Khamzat went on to emphasize just how high he thinks of Arman, saying, "I believe this guy is one of the best fighters in the world. He has to fight for the title. No one can deny it." He highlighted that Arman's skill, technique, and heart inside the octagon make him a true contender at the highest level. When you watch him fight, you see everything he brings. The way he controls the pace, the precision, the power. Everything is just next level. He's not just good, he's elite, Khamzat added. He also mentioned that Arman's approach to each fight shows a maturity beyond his years. It's not just about finishing fights. It's about how he fights, how he thinks, and how he adapts. That's what makes him stand out. He's ready for the biggest challenges, and he has earned the chance for a title shot, Khamzat said. Khamzat's praise wasn't just talk. He made it clear that he sees Arman as a serious threat to anyone in the division. No matter who's in front of him, Arman is ready. He's got everything you need to compete at the top, and now it's time for him to show the world. This is his moment, and he deserves it, he concluded. From Khamzat's perspective, there's no doubt. Arman is a force in the lightweight division and must get a title fight next. The message is loud and clear. The world better be ready for what's coming. Move on to another news. What's next for Arman following his UFC win? What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with what's next for Arman following his latest UFC performance. Ilya has repeatedly shot down the idea of fighting Arman next, but after this dominant win, it's going to be hard for Ilya to ignore him. Not only did Arman extend his winning streak to 5, but he also dominated his way to a submission win over Dan Hooker. From the opening bell, Arman came out pressuring as expected, throwing hard punches and looking for takedown opportunities. He controlled the pace, never giving Hooker a chance to settle, and showcased the kind of precision and determination that makes him a serious contender in the division. In the final grappling exchange, Arman worked his way into an arm triangle choke, securing the finish and sending a clear message that he is ready for the biggest challenges in the lightweight division. The performance was a perfect mix of technical skill, power, and mental toughness, proving once again why Arman is one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC today. After the fight, Arman wasted no time in his post-fight interview, calling for a matchup with Ilya and stating he'd be ready as soon as January if needed. He made it clear that he is hungry, focused, and ready to take on the division's elite without hesitation. His confidence is backed up by his performance, which left fans and analysts alike buzzing about his future. The big question now is whether the UFC will go that route and book Arman against Ilya next. With the division heating up and Arman proving he can handle top-level competition, the timing might be perfect for a high-stakes showdown. Analysts are already speculating about title implications, as a victory over Ilya would put Arman squarely in title contention. Arman's rise continues to be impressive, and after such a dominant display, the UFC and fans alike are eager to see who he faces next. Every move he makes now could determine the future of the lightweight division, and there's no doubt that he is one of the most exciting and feared fighters in the sport today. With momentum on his side, Arman is ready to make a statement and keep his winning streak alive. Move on to another news. Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett next. That fight has the potential to sell a lot of tickets and draw massive viewership. The matchup everyone is talking about is between Paddy Pimblett and hand sanitizer boy Ilya. This is the fight Ilya has been calling for because of their history and contrasting styles, and also because Ilya has continued to avoid facing Arman, following the late withdrawal from UFC 311 back in January. If you don't remember, Ilya roasted Arman publicly, saying he would have fought even with a missing limb. That moment sparked a lot of chatter and kept fans eager for the next showdown. On the other side, Paddy is not exactly coming off a win over a top 10 ranked fighter. While his victory over Michael Chandler was memorable, few would argue that the 39-year-old Chandler is at his peak anymore. Still, Paddy's charisma, unorthodox style, and fan base make him a marketable opponent for anyone in the division. Given Arman's performance on Saturday and his current ranking, there is a growing debate about whether the UFC would truly ignore him and instead move forward with Paddy. It is entirely possible, considering the business side of the sport. Ilya's refusal to fight Arman keeps the storyline alive, adding tension and anticipation among fans who are desperate to see the matchup finally happen. Both fighters bring something unique to the octagon. Ilya's precision, power, and relentless pressure make him one of the most dangerous lightweights in the UFC, while Paddy's dynamic movement, charisma, and unpredictable striking keep every fight exciting and unpredictable. The clash of styles, combined with their ongoing history, sets the stage for a fight that could easily become one of the most talked about events of the year. For the UFC, this is not just a sporting decision, but a business opportunity. A fight between Ilya and Paddy guarantees hype, ticket sales, and viewership numbers that few matchups could rival. The narrative is already built, and the stakes are high. Fans are eager, social media is buzzing, and the MMA world is watching closely. If this fight happens, it will be a showstopper, and everyone knows it. The anticipation is at an all-time high, and Ilya versus Paddy could very well become the defining matchup of the lightweight division in the coming months. Move on to another news. What's next for Ian Machado? Garry following his UFC win. Ian Garry may not have finished Belal Muhammad in the devastating fashion he predicted, but he still secured a clear-cut victory over the former welterweight champion and continued his climb up the rankings. From the opening bell, Garry established his game plan, using a steady stream of jabs and kicks that quickly started to blood Muhammad. The fight had an early scary moment as Belal suffered an eye poke, but Garry stayed composed and continued to dictate the pace. Muhammad tried to land big rights throughout the fight and turned to his wrestling as the rounds progressed, but Garry's wrestling defense held strong. He controlled the striking exchanges, landing cleaner shots and keeping the pressure consistent. It was an impressive display of skill, timing, and fight IQ from Garry, proving that he is more than ready to compete with the elite of the division. After 15 minutes, there was no doubt in anyone's mind that Ian would walk away with the decision, and he did just that. After the fight, Garry immediately called for a matchup with the new welterweight king, Islam Makhachev, citing his performance against Belal as a reason why he deserves the shot. He made it clear that he is ready to take on the challenge and will do whatever it takes to prepare for the champion. In the post-fight press conference, Garry announced his plans to travel to Georgia to train with anyone who can replicate Islam Makhachev's style. "I am coming to Georgia," he said. "I told all of you I will come because Georgia has phenomenal wrestling, phenomenal judo, phenomenal Majokan. When you are preparing for someone like Islam Makhachev, I'm going to need that. So Georgia, I'm calling on you. I'll need your help. Every southpaw wrestler, every guy who can emulate Islam Makhachev, we need to find a place. I will see you there, and I'll get your numbers after this. We'll make sure we sort this out." Networking after a win is part of the strategy, and Garry showed his intelligence and focus by planning ahead. He expressed his appreciation and gratitude, sending love to Georgia, while emphasizing that preparation is key. With momentum on his side, Ian Garry is ready to take the next step in his journey, sharpen his skills, and chase the welterweight title with full determination. Move on to another news. Dan Hooker breaks silence on his UFC loss. Following his defeat at UFC Qatar, Dan released a video that showed his signature mix of humor and honesty, taking a lighthearted yet pointed look at his current situation in the octagon. Hooker didn't shy away from facing the reality of where he stands in the division, and he delivered his thoughts with a mix of wit and defiance that only he can pull off. When asked about his future goals, Dan acknowledged the cold, hard truth. He admitted that a title shot is probably off the table, a reality that can be tough for any fighter to swallow. But true to his character, he wasn't about to let that stop him from making an impact. "You've got to face a cold, hard truth," he said. "So you're probably never going to get hands on a title, but I'm going to hang around as long as I possibly can and ruin as many people's hopes and dreams as I can." His words were a mix of humor and determination, a reminder that even in defeat, Hooker still commands attention and respect. Dan made it clear that his mindset is all about creating chaos for anyone stepping in the octagon with him. His philosophy is simple but effective. If he can't have the nice things, then no one else can. That unrelenting spirit is part of what makes him a dangerous and unpredictable fighter. Despite setbacks, he remains ready to challenge anyone willing to face him, and his ability to bounce back mentally sets him apart from many competitors. The video, while humorous, also reflects Hooker's strategic approach to his career. He knows his strengths, understands his limitations, and embraces his role as a fighter who can disrupt the division. By staying active, staying motivated, and keeping a sharp edge, Dan intends to continue shaping the lightweight and welterweight divisions with his presence. Cheers, he concluded with his signature dry humor, raising a virtual toast to resilience and determination. It's a moment that shows Hooker's ability to laugh at adversity, maintain perspective, and keep fighting. For fans, it's a reminder that Dan Hooker is far from done, and while the path to a title may be uncertain, his influence in the UFC remains strong and unmistakable. Hooker's journey is one of grit, humor, and relentless spirit, proving that even in loss, he can command the spotlight and leave his mark on the sport. Move on to another news. Ian Garry says he will train with Ilya to prepare for Islam Makhachev. After Ian Garry defeated Belal Muhammad by unanimous decision last night, he wasted no time calling for a title shot against Islam Makhachev. What surprised a lot of fans, however, was Garry revealing that he plans to train with Ilya to prepare for the biggest challenge of his career. Garry explained that he has already reached out and already started building connections that he believes will help him sharpen every tool he needs for a potential title fight. Garry said, "I have already spoken to Ilya. I have already spoken to the guys at WOW. I would absolutely love to go back to Madrid, and I would love to look. Hey, we speak about Georgia. Ilya can help me out a lot. You know what I mean?" He emphasized that there is real value in working with athletes who understand the style and pressure that fighters like Makhachev bring. According to Garry, Ilya's experience, movement, and overall approach can provide key insight into preparing for a champion like Islam. He continued by talking about his connections in Russia and Georgia, explaining that he wants to learn from fighters who know the techniques, transitions, and grappling chains that have made Dagestani fighters so dominant in the sport. Garry said, "With my friends in Russia or my friends in Georgia over here, we're going to stop the Russians from having their success. We're going to stop the Dagestanis from having that success, and we're going to shut him down. We're going to take his head clean off his shoulders." Garry's confidence was on full display. His tone wasn't hesitant. It was bold, committed, and full of intention. He made it clear that he believes the right preparation, the right partners, and the right strategy will give him a real chance at shocking the world. By seeking help from Ilya and athletes across Georgia, he is trying to put himself in the best possible position to challenge the champion. For Garry, this isn't just talk. It's a plan. It's a message to the division that he is ready to do whatever it takes to rise to the top of the welterweight class. And with momentum behind him and a growing list of elite training partners willing to support him, he fully believes that the path to gold is within reach. Move on to another news. Khamzat Chimaev breaks silence on altercation with Ian Garry. After Ian Garry's fight with Belal Muhammad at UFC Qatar, an unexpected backstage encounter took place that caught everyone's attention. Ian ran into both Arman and Khamzat, and while Ian approached the situation calmly, Khamzat's intensity was immediate. According to reports, Ian was friendly, acknowledging that Khamzat wasn't going to fight him. But Khamzat stared him down like a wolf, ready to strike. When Ian tried to understand the aggression, Khamzat snapped and shoved him, escalating the brief exchange into a tense moment backstage. Khamzat later addressed the incident at the press conference, claiming that Ian had been overly aggressive and disrespectful. Touch somebody. That's respectful. Don't punch somebody. Like, yeah, they touch my back. I have to respect. If you want to show respect, touch somebody respectfully, Khamzat explained. He added that he believed Ian was trying to create hype, but he emphasized that respect is key in these interactions. Ian Garry also spoke about the altercation at his press conference, offering a different perspective. He stated that all he intended was to congratulate Arman on his win and casually check in with Khamzat about when he would fight next. "I went up to Tsarukyan. I congratulated him. I went up to Khamzat. I said, 'Hey champ, what's up? When are we gonna see you back?' He slaps me on the back and I'm like, 'All right, cool.' Security stepped in and then that childish energy comes out. He tries to push me, and I just turned around and said, 'You're meant to be a champion of this sport. You're a child. You're taking away from your friend's win. Calm down. Have some respect. Sorry, I'll get him one day,' Ian said. While Ian is a welterweight and Khamzat is the current middleweight champion, the chances of them ever fighting in the octagon are slim. Khamzat doesn't seem willing to move down in weight, and Ian is focused on his rise to a welterweight title. Any potential clash between the two is likely far in the future, but the backstage moment has already generated headlines and added another layer of drama to the UFC landscape.